Good morning, everyone. As we get things started today, this is a map that's going to change a lot over this next week. We can currently see throughout nearly every state throughout the West, large areas occupied by high wind advisories and wind warnings, like what we might see along the Front Range and throughout the Rockies, all the way back here into the Southwest. And plus, look at the Columbia Basin here with the high winds. But you will also see a lot of winter storm watches and warnings. These colors you see right in through here. We're expecting three big systems. The first one is going to eject and come out across the plains. Heavy snows are expected into this corridor here that's going to hit South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, also parts of New England. But we will see two following lows that'll run right along the west coast of the United States and potentially deliver very heavy snow to the Sierra Nevada, also the Cascades, and this will also come into the Central Rockies. So these last 10 days of February are actually going to be very important for spring. And the reason for that is the amount of snow we're considering in the models right now is going to be critical to helping revive soil moisture. The snowpack coming into the west is going to kind of cap off, especially for the the Sierra Nevada through the Central Rockies. It's going to cap off what has been a great season of snowpack. And the additional snowpack coming into the northwest, these are areas that have been in deficit for snow that need quite a bit more. So while this is going to be one of those very high impact weeks, it's actually quite important for what spring is going to bring us for a lot of places across the country. And that also includes some very heavy precipitation in through this part of the Midwest, creating more of a flooding problem for parts of the Mid-South into the Ohio River Valley. We'll talk more about that in a second. But here's the main setup. This ridge has been migrating west. And what that's going to allow to have happen is this shortwave trough is going to kick this cutoff low that's been off the Baja out ahead of it as the lead system. And then the second system digs so much deeper and then comes out here and runs straight in the Colorado low path and heads straight toward the Great Lakes. And what that's going to do is produce this band of very, very heavy snow, because right now we've been watching this entire weekend brutally cold air that's been coming through Canada into the prairie and is now setting up over the northern plains. And later on this week, we might see a temperature contrast across the country that could exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So here it is. Watch these pieces work together. So you're looking at vorticity. Here's the lead wave. This is the much deeper one on the backside of it by Tuesday night that's going to basically just eject that southern wave. And this will be the first round of these systems coming through. Now, as this much deeper low, see it here, produces the second low pressure system that comes across the country here. This is going to be the time period over which we're expecting the very heavy snow in this area. But I want you to see the end of this animation, because the atmosphere apparently will cut off a low along the California coast later this week and leave it there, sitting and spinning, and this time be close enough to deliver a tremendous amount of snow to the Sierra Nevada and all the way down here to the southern mountain ranges in California. That low gets picked up with the flow this Sunday, comes right over the Four Corner states, and as this moves across the country, it's going to be early next week, another large system, Colorado low. Look what follows it here. This is coming along the west coast almost in the same trajectory, the cutoff low sitting over California. So you got to remember, California and the west coast can get their precip a lot of different ways. It doesn't just take these big Pineapple Express events. These lows are coming like this and just spinning and spinning and spinning. So we're going to look at who's going to be getting this moisture and who's not going to be getting this moisture and how much of it's going to fall in the frozen form. So I'm going to go right to the high-res name. Let's get this queued up here. There we go. For about 7 o'clock this morning Central Time. Now, we're going to watch through the day on Monday the heaviest snows on the nose of that colder air pushing right up against the Rocky Mountains in Montana. Here's that clipper we talked about last week. Here it is Monday afternoon moving over parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. Okay, as we play out through Monday night and that clipper moves through, this is the big system we're going to start to talk about on Tuesday. So here we are playing through the morning on Tuesday, getting out there to Tuesday night. Now, what we saw again, if you remember, is there's a lead wave. This is the first round of snow for this area. And this is the second wave, the much deeper one that's coming through the Rocky Mountains. And the high-res NAM picks up on that wave going over the Four Corner states. And what I want you to see is, you see this high-pressure cell, 1032 high. There's just high pressure pushing down like this. But where the wave is ejecting, it's going to have no trouble drawing in a lot of warm, moist air. And that contrast is going to set us up for just an incredibly active week. So let's look at the next week in terms of just total precip. This is liquid equivalent. So if you melted down all the snow, this is what we'd have in terms of total precip. But of course, all this is going to be rain. Just want to show you that from parts of the Mid-South here through Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and then over the Ohio River Valley, there's going to be an area through here that could pick up 1 to 3 inches of total rainfall. This will all be snow. But as you can see, there is going to be possibly up to 1 inch to maybe 2 inches of liquid in the snow coming through. And then all of this throughout the Rocky Mountains and along the West Coast, this is going to be snow at high elevation. Some of the snowpack that's coming in through here, which could be 1 to 3 feet in places, is going to have just a tremendous amount of liquid. But look who's being missed. The Canadian prairie, cold, dry air. The way that these lows are ejecting, they're going to have a large dry slot in this area, which is why parts of the western and high plains are missing out on this. And then along the Gulf Coast, this is where that big subtropical ridge is sitting. So there's still higher pressure here, and with these Colorado lows going through this track, they lift, they don't dig. So that's why we don't see the heavy precip coming from the coast of Texas all the way up to North, South Carolina, Virginia out of this system. But I'll show you in a few moments, we're finally going to be putting some snow into New England, a place that really needs to see some snow. So let's go right now to the multi-model analysis. And I'm going to get this queued up for where the NAM left off, which is right about here. So remember, 2 waves. This is the first part of it. This is the snow that's coming early. This is Tuesday into Wednesday. It's in both models, while the deeper cutoff low is coming through the Four Corner states. Or excuse me, not cutoff, but the deeper, it's actually an open wave, but the deeper wave is coming through the Four Corner states. So it emerges on Wednesday, and we're going to have to be watching out for this corridor to see the strong to severe storms. It's in both models. The timing is very good. You can also see that they both have the ice right here along like I-80 showing up well, and then the snow on the back side of this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see blizzard warnings coming out given the wind speeds that are projected here. Very tight spacing in those isobars, but this is going to put down heavy snows across South Dakota, clipping parts of Iowa, but hitting Minnesota very hard and Wisconsin quite hard as well. And then you can see the snow coming into the interior of New England as well. So while that's all going on and exits east, this is the low that follows it, that comes straight out of the north and just sits and spins along the west coast. And this is getting into Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Now remember, that low is about to get picked up by the jet stream and taken over the Four Corner states. There it is by next Monday. And as that one opens up into another storm system in the midsection of the country with almost similar characteristics but less snow on the northern side of it, but rain here, possibly severe storms to the south, there's another low skirting along the west coast. That's why I told you these next 10 days, I'm, in my opinion, are critical to spring. This is late season snow and rain in places that do need it. So let's take a look at a few of the maps. This is a 7-day snowfall total map for the western United States. So just pause it, take a close look at your location, but by next Sunday night, this is what we're expecting. Notice the Sierra Nevada here. Incredible amounts of snow. This is the Midwest side of it based on the European model. There's a really good chance that most of South Dakota picks up 6 to 10 inches of snow out of this. But I think the heaviest snows, which could be over 2 feet in this area, the model right now has got, using a 10-to-1 ratio, is somewhere in the 15 to 16 inch range. But don't be surprised if we're seeing these numbers up over 20 inches out of this system. And then into the East Coast, you notice most of the heavy snows in the interior, all right? So I don't see this like coming down and clobbering New York City as an example, but this is where we're seeing the heavy snows. And all of this is echoed in the European ensemble. So this map here shows the probability of getting at least 6 inches. Let's step that up to 12 inches. Again, there's that corridor. And then, of course, out west, we can just keep climbing. This is the chance of getting 18 inches of snow. This is the chance of getting 2 feet of snow. And it's just great. I love seeing this much snow coming into the mountains in the west. Ice. This is going to be a tough one. Right in through this corridor here, the potential for a significant ice event is in the models right now. When I say significant, that's anything over 1/10 of an inch. We need to watch this corridor very carefully, okay? Because it's hitting some major metro areas from near Omaha to Des Moines to Chicago, Milwaukee, possibly hitting Detroit, getting in here into the interior of New York. So we got to watch that out. Watch for that very carefully as well. What's the chances of picking up at least an inch of liquid in all of it? Well, this is the map that shows you the probability of getting at least an inch of total precipitation. So you melt that snow down, and you get the liquid equivalent there. So why I'm stressing this so much is this is what is underneath all of it. So we're about to put down over some very dry subsurface soil, a bunch of snow in through here, and a lot of rain in this area. And that's what we're going to be having to watch evolve as we go forward. Let's finish this up with a quick discussion on temperatures. The contrast is just going to be incredible. Here's Monday's highs compared to normal. Tuesday, there's that cold air advancing. That's what's setting up this system. By Wednesday, watch this warm sector open. So again, we're going to watch for strong to severe storms in this area, but you can already see the extent of this cold air coming through Montana and the northern plains. This is Thursday, where we might be approaching 90 degrees in North Carolina. We could have temperatures that cannot get above -5 in Montana. And as we go into Friday, the colder air advances. By Saturday, back into a full reset. So we watch out there this 15-day forecast of a 5-day sliding window of temperatures. And the main story I've got for spring, which we have another spring discussion in today's report, is as long as this large subtropical ridge dominates the pattern, I don't have any reason to kind of say that it won't continue to look like this into March and possibly beyond. So that takes you all the way out there to March 2nd through the 7th on the temperature pattern. We seem to be stuck in this. That's an active pattern for the country, though, in terms of precip, but we just continue this mild go of it here where that subtropical ridge is in place. Lastly, over the weekend, and this is something I really took a misstep on Friday, there was some patchy frost in parts of Argentina. I'm waiting on the official data from the Argentinian government to show us where that was exactly, but it was quite limited in extent. I figured a lot of places could get down there in the low 30s. We talked about that, but I did not think there was not a lot of strong evidence of a widespread frost, which there wasn't, but there was a patchy frost in places. We're going to talk about it. Why I've been showing you this image while I discuss that is this is what the skies look like on Saturday, just wide open, clear, and that's what allowed those temperatures to bottom out. I do want to point out, though, that here in the northern part of Argentina, there are some fires, just to show you how dry it has been. And if we look out there over the next 10 to 15 days, we continue to see very dry conditions into Argentina. The wettest still stays right here in central Brazil. This is just an ongoing story here. This pattern has looked like this for the last month, it feels like. And the temperatures are quickly on the rebound. So that means Argentina went last week from high temperatures in the low 100s to a patchy frost event, and they're going right back up to temperatures that could be 5 degrees Celsius above normal again. And it's midsummer there. So just remember, this is what we're dealing with. Okay, longer morning minute this morning, but I just wanted to fill you in on a few important things. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.